And good evening, good morning, good afternoon, no matter where you may be. Welcome to Cosmic Connections. I'm Agent 56 with the CIA, also known as Cassandra Joan Butler. Been an astrologer for some 3 decades, maybe, a long time. And I'm passionate about sharing astrological wisdom with people because it's been such a wonderful tool of wisdom for myself, my family, and my clients. Hi again, Lynn. This is fun, isn't it? I never know where we're going to end up. So as you're coming into the room, dear friends, please let us know where you are coming in from, wherever you might be in the planet. Happy new moon. We are in the new moon cycle. It is the year of the water tiger. How cool is that? Right? And there's a freshness in the room. There's a freshness in the big room. Hopefully there's a freshness in your life. And with every new moon, we have the opportunity to begin again. So we're going to be talking about Aquarius as an energy, and we're going to be talking about some of the news stories. I like to combine astrology with the news because both elements are endless, right? And there's always so much interest in seeing what's going on in the big room and what's going on in the cultural room itself. Hi, Vixie. Hi, Marnie. Hi, Carrie. Where are you coming in from? Patricia's from the Bronx, Mexico. Hi, Carrie. Nice to see you from South Australia. Vixie. Hi, from Melbourne, says Marnie. I really appreciate you being with me here on Wednesdays or Thursdays, no matter what the date might be. So use some time. We're still in the new cycle before we get to full-blown crescent to set your intentions. And one of the things I have found of many years of doing intention work is that when we're working with air signs, I have found it to be very efficient to write your intentions out, to use the element of communication, whether it be in your journal or say out loud what you would like to manifest during the new moon in an air sign. And, Aquarius is such a rich sign of wisdom, right? The ruler being Uranus, and when we get our mind into some sort of template, we can become very stubborn, as it would. Right. I've always been surrounded by many beautiful Aquarius people in my life. My mom, my best friend from childhood, Aquarius. And, Aquarius is the sign of stubbornness with a smile. It's very friendly and inviting. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Mercury Retrograde tonight as well, friends. And I like to weave in the Sabian symbols. We'll talk about that. And at the end of our conversation about astrology, I'll put on my right side of my brain hat, and I'll be doing some mediumship with you and some spirituality. Now, I left a link. I'm going to put that link again in the room for you. And I would like you to consider, if you haven't already, Cosmic Intelligence Agency is such an amazing gift on the planet. Can I just say that? It's a gift. And one of the gifts of the Cosmic Intelligence Agency is communication, webinars, and articles. And now we have a journal. It's called Time Lords. So indeed, it's coming out right now, and it's yours for the asking. You just have to go to this link, which I shared, and you can sign up and receive a download of Time Lords. And the focus of Time Lords, of course, this month is going to be the countdown to the big Jupiter-Neptune conjunction that takes place in early April. And of course, CIA is right on it. We're going to be having a special symposium that's coming up. So I'll be a part of that as well, talking about psychic attunement, because, I wear these two hats. And so keep that in the back of your mind for more information about the symposium with the CIA with regards to the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. But that's tomorrow. But today we're dealing with the new moon energy. So again, my suggestion is to write down your intentions, find where 12 degrees of Aquarius falls in your chart. That's the degree of the new moon. And this is a very interesting new moon because we have Saturn of 15. It's casting its grumpy old man energy on top of the new moon. So we're feeling the gravitas, the weightiness of this new moon because Saturn's right there, right? And so the new moon is also squaring, not exact, but is creating that little 90-degree angle almost to the locus of Uranus, the excited planet, the planet of shock, the planet of unexpected changes, the planet of revolution, the planet of change. And all of this is under the context of the Sabian symbol called a barometer. So my question for you this evening, friends, or this morning, wherever you may be, is, are you feeling a subtle shift in the great room? I call it the great room of society, of culture, perhaps the little room of your home or your business. Is there a little subtle shift that's happening? The barometer degree is asking us to perceive things differently, to basically, like, they'll put our finger up in the air and measure and evaluate the climate. So be aware of that. Be aware of the barometer degree as we go through the next 30 days, because that may help you understand the workings where you find Aquarius in your chart, that things are in the change cycle. It's not just a new moon. It's got this tense feeling to it, but there's changes in the air. I'm just perceiving things to be a little different. Hello, Astro Tarot Cat. Hello from Pennsylvania, Baron. Hello from New York, Anna. Hello, hello. And Aquarius says hello to you. Happy birthday, Jerry Duffy, wherever that birthday may be. The other thing that's really cool about the new moons, I always suggest to people that they celebrate on the new moons. If your sun is in the sign of the new moon, it's like a second birthday. And I'm all about celebration anyway, right? So here at the CIA, I know there was a lot of wonderful other agents like Tara who are doing some meditations and some other ways to celebrate this cross-quarter day. All right. This is the cross-quarter day. And it's so interesting how the culture kind of surrenders and competes with the ancient wisdom of a cross-quarter day. So here in the States, I'm not sure if that's true in Australia, we call it Groundhog Day. You know, only 6 more weeks until winter is ended and spring begins. I'm beaming into you from Buffalo, New York, and myself and a lot of people up and down the Midwest and the Northeast of the United States are bracing for yet another very heavy winter storm. And winter is another really good image for Aquarius, because it's fixed air and it's the middle of the season, All right, without further ado, I'm very excited. Tonight I'm going to be having some slides, so I'm going to do some visuals with you. All right. Also, absolutely, Marie-Claude, absolutely. And keep in mind, any sort of protest of any stripe is a Uranian situation, right? And Aquarius is about for the people. And Capricorn and Saturn represents the elite, the governing powers that be, your boss, anyone who's in charge. And please understand that the narrative, at least astrologers' narrative, of the past 2 years has been one of observing the Capricorn Saturn conjunct Pluto conjunction of January 2020 unfold before our very eyes, so that the experts and the authoritarians across the planet were seeing holes in the makeup of the authority figures, at the very least, right? So now we're in the Aquarius time of the year, and Aquarius rules the people, for the people, you and I, and Aquarius rules equality. We're all, in the end, human, right? We're just all equal. We're human beings. But Capricorn, the sign before, is about the mountain and going on top of that mountain, and often in a pyramidal structure of ruling class. So yoo-hoo, absolutely. Good evening, Jennifer. Hello from New Zealand, Jess. How you find out the time of day I was born is not a birth certificate. James, I'm not sure where you're from, but what happens, at least here in Buffalo, New York, you can go to your localities, city hall or village, or wherever you are from, and ask to get the original. Very often they do put the actual time of birth on the original birth certificates. Another technique is you might call, if you were born in a hospital, call the archives in a hospital. I had a good friend whose mom worked in the hospital records, and she couldn't understand why people kept on calling her to get the times of birth of their respective birth certificates. There are ways. I wish you luck with that, because truly, friends, when we're looking at astrology, we want to know those three factors, if you can: time of birth, place of birth, and of course, birth date and birth city. All right, so tonight we're going to talk a bit about our Aquarius energy, just in general. And let's see if I can make this smaller. And I'm so excited with the slides because I can even share with you charts. Good evening from Sydney. Hello from Nebraska. Hello, Sarah and Sarah. Two Sarahs. All right. Friday. Okay, James. Very good. I'm going to talk about you. All right. The Aquarius types. And of course, James has a good example of a chart. We need as best as possible to get that time, because you're so close to the next sign over from between Capricorn and Aquarius. Aquarius is the water bearer. People talk about the water bearer. She's often depicted with water, but Aquarius, and this beautiful female form that's pouring that gift, is not water. So people new to astrology sometimes call Aquarius a water sign. It's not a water sign. Put the image of energy in that bucket, the energy of thoughts, of enlightenment, the energy that comes from Reiki or healing, X-rays, gamma rays, rays this and rays that, TV rays, 5G rays, anything that has to do with technological energy, light energy, is an Aquarian feature. And so the gift of Aquarius is connecting with the sky god. The gift of Aquarius is excelling in one's own personal limited mind and going above and beyond and connecting with the creator mind. I often think of Aquarius energy, where we find that in our charts. We find the ability to be different, but all the same. All right. Different, eccentric, eclectic, electricity, awakening. These are all beautiful Aquarius words. Aquarius is the sign that represents the adventure of going above and beyond our limited sphere of thinking and connecting with the people, with humanity. Aquarius is a very equal sign. It has this energy of being able to define a human being by its cognitive gifts and its ability to connect with others on an equal playing field. That's all Aquarius. So let's celebrate the Aquarius part of your nature, no matter where it may fall. Here's our new moon. And of course, being from Buffalo, I put the chart up from Buffalo's point of view. So please make the different arrangements wherever you had experienced the new moon energy. At 12:46 in the morning, February 1st. And again, I implied that earlier, but you can see the tenseness of this new moon. New moon, sun and moon, with the overlord of Saturn, creating this sense of seriousness. So Saturn, of course, is the ancient ruler of Aquarius. So Saturn likes rules and regulations, and it's in Aquarius for the first time in 30 years. So there's this seriousness about the structure of society and the communities across the land changing. And it's forming this 90-degree angle to the modern ruler of Aquarius, which is Uranus. And there's this tension that there's some changes have to take place. Some changes need to take place. The new moon is square Hygeia. Hygeia is the asteroid that represents the ability to heal, the ability to take stock of the medical communities out there, and perhaps even question them, right? And so all of this is so important to understand. We're talking about medicine. We're talking about the collision and the tension between the Scorpio here forming a square to the Aquarius, a square to the Uranus. And my goodness, what's the empty leg? The empty leg is Leo. And Leo is the sign of sovereignty and the creative spark. So this could be a very fun time of the year, but this new moon is asking us to embrace our unique gifts of creativity and heart-filled direction. A couple other things. Who can forget? We still have the Mercury retrograde. Mercury's going to be retrograde until tomorrow. Again, my time, late in the afternoon, around 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And this has been such a Mercury retrograde, hasn't it? Mercury retrograded at the 11th degree of Aquarius and went all the way back to 24 degrees of Capricorn. And anytime, friends, you see in the next couple of years a strong emphasis on Capricorn, you know that that's the continuing saga of the year of transformation of 2020. You know that we're still looking at our governing bodies, no matter what that might entail in your life, your boss, you know, your father-in-law, your governor, your president, your prime minister. You're looking at authority as a concept and authority as an action. And we have certainly are experiencing that collectively as a world people. So this is what's going on. Mercury retrograde at 24 degrees is very close to that original conjunction. So it's like we're putting our new set of mindfulness on when Mercury goes direct tomorrow. So my question of the week for you is, has your mind changed about the narrative? Or has some things been a little bit weighing on your mind, and have you been feeling pressure to change your mind or change your direction with the Mercury retrograde? We also have Venus conjunct Vesta. So, you know, Venus, we all know what Venus is. That's an exact conjunction. Venus is love, Venus is abundance, Venus is money, and she's next to Vesta, the goddess of spiritual practices. Wouldn't be a bad idea to do your due diligence and really, when you make your affirmations, to connect with your own personal spiritual practices. We also have Black Moon Lilith opposite Vesta. That can create some polarized thinking about good, bad, evil, and so forth. I'm just pointing it out to you. I think the stories I'm going to share with you in just a moment, again, these are more Americanized, but I'm sure everyone around the world have heard these stories I'm going to be sharing with you. Please understand that when we have this polarization, it's easy to get into the concept of censorship, right? Your idea means nothing. This is the right idea. This is the right narrative. And Black Moon Lilith opposite Vesta is saying, oh, we're going to be splitting hairs here because no one else has a point of view. All right. So speaking of that, I'm going to disappear, at least you hear my voice. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. Make me small. I just want that. No, it's not working. Okay. Oh, there I go. I disappeared. You can still hear my voice. So this is very interesting, friends. If you are in the States, please be aware that as of today, we have a new curriculum that's being introduced across the public school, across not every district. I think there's about 24 districts which are taking what's called the Black Lives Matter School Starter Kit. And this is the website. You can go directly to that link and you can read what I'm sharing with you right here. So we're all familiar with Black Lives Matter, but Black Lives Matter has a curriculum that they want to instill in the public schools. And I'm quoting here, the lessons that are being initiated and proposed include the following. There's 13 lessons, And there's a sense that we should disrupt the Western nuclear family dynamic and return to the collective village, which takes care of each other. Okay, that's from their agenda. Okay, that's very Aquarian, is it not? But remember, with this T square with the new moon energy, we're still wanting to go to Leo. Leo is the sign of the child, right? And the sign of creativity and the child within. So this is an actual criteria. Everyone has a right to choose their own gender by listening to their own heart and mind, quoting all here. Now, everyone gets to choose if they are a girl or a boy or both or neither or something else. And no one else gets to choose for them, reads a teaching guide on how to use age-appropriate language. So I guess the message here is that you don't necessarily have to be a human. And I have to tell you that I've been watching the Transhumanism Movement ever since Uranus went into Aries, which was about 10 years ago. All right. So what is a Transhumanism Movement? That's, a whole workshop for a whole week, but transhumanism suggests that we're remaking and reshaping what it means to be a human being. But this is already in the school district. I mean, there's a lot in that sentence. A child can choose to be a boy, a girl, or both, or neither, or something else. I don't know. That screams transhumanism to me. Mercury's retrograde, and it's retrograding kissing Pluto. That's another word for conjunct, and Juno. So some of the top stories that we've been looking at this past week has been, states at least, Whoopi Goldberg was suspended from The View for saying the Holocaust is not about race. All right. So there's a lot of back and forth with that. Some of you might be familiar with Joe Rogan. He has a very popular podcast on Spotify. Neil Young, the performer from the 60s and 70s, left the Spotify streaming service in protest against Joe Rogan, as are other celebrities, including Sharon Stone. The whole hoopla was because Rogan was interviewing some doctors about the CV. And what was happening here, which is so interesting, one of the doctors in this next slide here was Peter McCullough. Peter McCullough was describing his work as a physician treating CV, and he even appeared before the U.S. Senate describing his protocol, which was extremely successful. And Rogan was, not saying this is the only way, but he was listening to him. So I thought it'd be very interesting to actually see Rogan's chart and see why this was a very stressful week for him. And here it is, Celebrity of the Week chart. Joe Rogan. We don't know his time of birth. Again, we're at a disadvantage for not knowing that particular bit of information, but we do know, of course, that he is a Leo, and he's a Scorpio moon with a north or south node connection. So he was born under an eclipse. And we have the new moon opposing his sense of self. We have the new moon squaring his moon. And we also have Black Moon Lilith opposite to his part of fortune. So this gives a lot of stress about how is his fortune going to be, because he's being canceled with Spotify. So this is so interesting. Oh, no, I'm not saying it's transhumanism at all, Jenna, at all. Please, you misunderstand me. Maybe I was miscommunicating. It's transhumanism when it says you can be neither or something else. I mean, human is human. I'm trying to celebrate the word human in all of its different expressions. But when someone says you can be anything else, you don't necessarily have to be a human, that is more of a transhumanism statement. Please don't misunderstand me. Okay. Okay. We have a lot of different comments here, but I just wanted to share this because under the context of our Mercury retrograde, this is the lesson here. The words matter. My thought is that by the time we have Mercury go direct, that this whole cancel of Mr. Rogan will probably be yesterday's news, but I find it so interesting that it's really stressing out his chart. And I would say this to all of you as well. If you have a lot of Scorpio, if you have a lot of fixed energy, you are feeling more tension and pressure with this particular new moon and the seriousness of Saturn around there. All right, barometer. Let's put our finger out and test the room. The barometer is the Sabian symbol, and that basically suggests that we are perceiving subtle changes, whether the subtle changes be in our own homes, our own families, our own communities. This particular symbol has the sense of measuring the atmosphere. So how I want to suggest that we look at our charts is that of the evaluator, where you find that 12 degrees of Aquarius. And so I'm going to go through all the signs here with you with that Sabian symbol in mind. All right. And we'll remove this. Okay, so if you are Aries or Aries rising, the energy of the barometer, Sabian symbol, is asking you to test the waters and measure the waters regarding your friends, your groups, and your associations, your community. If you are Taurus or Taurus rising, this barometer new moon energy is falling what we would call your ability to be in the world, your leadership position, your career, your opportunity to have authority and respect in the outer world. So measure that, measure your tone of respect with this new moon if you're Taurus or Taurus rising. For Gemini or Gemini rising, the energy is in your ninth house. Ninth house is all about communication. It's all about the bigger wave of communication, the wave of communication that can be best described as philosophy, as ideas of spirituality, your own personal beliefs that are synthesized with the greater collective. So that is for our Gemini. Measure how you feel and how you think and communicate. Teachers and writers would very, very much be affected by this. For Cancer or Cancer rising, this energy is in the eighth house. And the eighth house has to do with great power struggles. The eighth house tests our mettle, so to speak, to become more fearless and strong using spiritual means and psychological means. So the Cancer people or Cancer rising people are really feeling that testing that's going on in this new moon energy. For Leo or Leo rising, the energy is about your partner, measuring how you are as a partner, measuring the health of your partnership, measuring how you're achieving equality within your partnership. I think that's the lesson of this new moon. For Virgo or Virgo rising, this is all about your health. I know a number of Virgos who are having some health crises this week with this new moon. I'm not saying you all are, but it's activating self-care. And because it's the barometer, I know several Virgos are having these health crises. They're getting second opinions. They're measuring the self-care and the medical care of their urging. For Libra or Libra rising, this energy is falling in what we would call the house that represents creativity and children and play. And sprinkle in a little romance too. So this new moon is asking you just to have fun, right? Find the thing that you would do without any remuneration, without any income, that you just like to have fun with, and go for it in a serious, organized way. For Scorpio or Scorpio rising, this new moon energy is activating your house of the fourth, family relationships, also how you're doing your remodeling or your fixing or a good old-fashioned cleaning within your home, Scorpio. For Sagittarius or Sagittarius rising, this energy is asking you to speak your mind, but also get a reading on how you are managing your time. I see the third house is time management. So measure your time, measure how you want to allocate the things you want to do in perhaps a new schedule. For our Capricorn or Capricorn rising, measure your sense of self-value, and measure the way that you are making your way in the world with your income. Perhaps you might do an evaluation about, am I doing something that really makes my heart sing? Am I measuring how much money I'm making and how much I would like to make or not make? Measure that and make sure your self-esteem is being reflected by this new moon energy. For Aquarius or Aquarius rising, it's all about you. It's all about the way you are basically being in the world in your own charismatic, eccentric, eclectic, and wonderful self. Measure how you are being authentic. Anytime the sun is in our sun sign period, I think it gives us a little bit of a boost. It's a little reboot, right? That's why we call it the solar return. That's why we call it the time when we can celebrate who we are. And then last but never least, our beautiful Pisces friends, this new moon is falling in what we call your retreat house, the house that represents redo, dreaming, reflection, and kind of going inside yourself and connecting with that spiritual part of yourself. All right, friends. So I want to remind you, I left the link. I'm going to leave it again. We have a beautiful new journal that's available to anyone of the Cosmic Intelligence Agency, and it's Time Lords. So all you have to do is press that link and get your copy. Very exciting offerings all around the board with CIA, whether it be webinars or symposiums or a free journal. And it's going to be very awesome because we're going to be highlighting this great conjunction that takes place on the 12th of April. All right. So we talked about the new moon a little bit. We talked about the Mercury retrograde a little bit with all of these stories about words. And I want to finish with a little joke before we get into our mediumship segment of cosmic connections. So you go to the therapist and the therapist says, so what do you do when you are making a mistake with your words? And the client says, well, therapist, I couldn't help it. It was Mercury retrograde. And the therapist says, no. And I think there's, I kind of fell into that just a few moments ago. Sometimes we do misspeak, and sometimes it's easy to, blame the Mercury retrograde. But the reality is during the Mercury retrograde, with much observation over countless decades, sometimes words are misspoken. And those are the stories that I wanted to share with you tonight. And it all kind of comes to this colossal Capricorn station direct tomorrow night at 24 degrees, which is so close to the Pluto-Saturn conjunction of January 12th of 2020. So anytime that degree gets activated over and over, whether it be with the new moon, whether it be the full moon, whether it be Mercury retrograde and stationing direct, take note. 23, 24 degrees of Capricorn in your own charts and in what's going on out there in the world. It's about time that we look at the concept of authority, authoritarianism with new critical eyes and ears. And I think that's one of the messages of Mercury going direct in just about 23 hours from where I sit, where it might be any place else in the planet for you. Okay, that's right, Cole. That's what I'm saying. I'm making the joke because we can't blame things just on the stars, right? Or the planets or the asteroids. It's silliness. And because that's what gives us the quintessential human characteristics, blaming our parents, blaming this, blaming the culture, blaming that, then we take away from the spark of individual genius, which we all have, which is called free will. And that's, I guess, my opinion. But I wouldn't like a universe that would have a creator God that's pushing us like little puppets on a string. Wouldn't like that one little bit personally, because what's the point, right? I mean, what's the point? Lots of stuff about spirituality that I like to dig my nose in. And one of them is spiritual messages and using my gifts to give you a reading. So I'm going to do that now. But here's how that works. You have to be in the room. You have to make sure that you want to have a little bit of a message. And I want to say that yes, I've been doing this for a very long time, but everyone in this room can do and give and receive spiritual messages. It's our birthright. Because in my mind, we have a right hemisphere, and the right hemisphere deals with what? Symbols and feelings and music and color. And when I give my readings, I have some techniques, which I will be sharing with all of you, by the way, during a CIA symposium, to tune up your own psychic meters. So I'll do that with you right now. And all I would ask is if you would like a read to say so. And I'll close my eyes and see what happens. And so, dear God, please allow me and you, but specifically me, because I'm giving the messages right now. Please allow me to serve. Please allow my words to be filled with love and light and truth and inspiration for the highest and for the best, as I align myself with the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay. Jerry Duffy, my thumb came to you, please. So Jerry Duffy, I presume you're still in the room. Jerry Duffy. Okay. Make sure you're still here, Jerry Duffy. Jerry Duffy. Yes. Okay. Jerry, as I'm tuning into your energy, I don't know if you're named for someone in your family. I'm almost getting like two Geraldines. I presume your given name is Geraldine, but I'm getting someone who, or maybe it was Jerry or Gerald, but it feels like there's a person in your family of origin that had a similar name to you, that it was inspired to be named for this person. And Jerry, if not, there's something very special about your name and the naming process when you were born. And I'm getting a female in spirit right now, and I believe this is your mother's mother, your grandmother, and she had a lot of oomph and courage and moxie. You know how that word translates? She had moxie. She had some style, a sense of herself, and she wasn't easily intimidated. And she had a great deal of intelligence and grace, but she was never mean. Does that represent the ring with you, my dear? You can give me feedback as I'm doing this. I don't like to look at the comments right away. I just like to receive the comments and give them to you. In any case, this grandmotherly person is coming in here and saying that you had to try on that part of your nature recently, that you had to stand up for yourself and for your family in a new way. And it was a little uncomfortable because sometimes you defer to just being, not just being, there's nothing just about being a nice person that's gracious, but there was some sort of form of intimidation that you had to step up to the plate for. I'm not saying it was yesterday. I'm saying perhaps last month. Actually, I'm getting December in the middle of the month. Actually, it was around December the 4th, around the eclipse in Sagittarius. So go back in that time frame. First week in December, last week in November, there was something you had to do that was a little out of character for Jerry. And in doing so, okay, that makes sense. Okay, and in doing so, all right, you were standing up for yourself, but standing up for a cause and a purpose, and you were being something of an advocate. And the woman upstairs is applauding this and saying, "You go, girl." Well, she's not really saying that, but she's very proud of what you've been doing and how you've been managing the whole drama that we've all been collectively sharing, which of course is the CV crisis. And she's saying that you've done really well in keeping yourself balanced. I'm hearing, not from her, but I'm hearing maybe some stretching or some yoga or some working out, that you know how to keep yourself physically in balance so that you're mentally and emotionally in balance as well. And sometimes for all of us, that's very, very challenging. But you are a disciplined woman, and you do so with great grace, and I use the word fortitude for you, because you are fighting some sort of battle, Jerry, that this woman upstairs is giving you the strength to carry on, and I leave that with God's blessings. Okay, good. All right. Hello from Tucson. Hi, Heather. Hi, Cole. Hello, Rosemary. Very nice. Okay. I close my eyes one more time and I pick another person. The only way I know how to do this fairly and equitably is randomly just moving my thumb. All right. Okay. Okay. Heather Graham, I went to you, please. Heather Graham, are you still in the room? Okay, I guess you're still in the room, Heather Graham. Okay. Hello, Francis. Thank you, Marnie. Heather, you're still with us, yes? I have to see your name. Okay. All right. Heather, may I come to you? Oh, hi. Okay. I thought you were leaving. I thought you meant BYE. All right. There you go. Dear God, please allow me to connect with Heather. Please allow my words to be filled with love, with light, truth, inspiration, and healing for her highest and best. The Holy Spirit. Amen. Heather, I'm really feeling Uranus energy with you. I'm feeling Uranus electric energy. I don't know where Uranus is in your natal chart, but there's something going on. Are you having your Uranus opposition right now? Uranus is activated strongly in your own personal chart, or Uranus transiting, of course, at the 10-ish degrees of Taurus is operating very heavily in your chart. So I'm excited about life. I'm in this place of great creativity and really trying to break out of your routine and take a risk. And as you are doing this, I'm seeing some form of physical creativity, like it's almost like working with jewelry or working with stones or working with landscaping. But I'm getting a natural environment, like you would do pottery or working with stones or gardening or something like this. And I'm getting that feeling for you right now, which is a very positive feeling. But it's maybe because it's the Mercury retrograde, not blaming it on the Mercury retrograde, but you have so many wonderful ideas that they're spitting out, and Spirit is reminding you to get organized first before you execute these new creative plans. And by organized, I simply mean putting together a business plan or a personal plan. Like, just write things down. I said earlier during the Aquarius new moon, it's better to articulate your ideas as opposed to just feeling them or visualizing them. So you want to sit down and you want to articulate your priorities with these creative plans. I'm getting a name with you too, Heather. I don't always get names, but it's either a name Don or Dan. Okay, Don or Dan. And oh, yes on all. Thank you, Heather. Okay, I'm glad you got that. Don or Dan, or maybe it's Donna. Don or Dan or Donna. Ooh, it's hard to do it in this. But this person has really depended on you, has been dependent on you, and depended upon your sense of being there for them. And you've been so busy with your creativity, you've been somewhat preoccupied. And if that makes sense, please understand that it's okay to be preoccupied with your own independent, individualized creative goals, that this D person has to take care of themselves. All right. Sometimes when we are putting our attention on ourselves for something outside of ourselves, like a creative project. Remember, creativity in astrology is Leo, That also represents children. It feels like you are a caretaker and you're taking care of your creative Leo stuff. This D person will have to be patient. I'm feeling a big trip for you. I think it's in April. But it's going to be a magnificent time for you for self-discovery, perhaps a retreat, and reboot yourself on all levels. You're deeply spiritual and you're deeply creative. And I'll leave that with God's blessings for you tonight. All right, Miss Heather, I hope you enjoyed that. And I hope you all enjoyed me chatting with you tonight. Agent 56, I left the link for your free Time Lords. And bring on April. Absolutely. That Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. So get your own personal copy. And thank you for being a part of the CIA, whatever platform you are on tonight. Thank you for sharing some time with Agent 56, Cassandra Joan Butler. If you would like to contact me, I'm always doing classes. I'm doing a beginner's class in astrology. I love to teach. It's all on Zoom. You can connect with me at my website. And I appreciate your kind attention, and happy new moon and happy Lunar New Year. It's the year of the water tiger. We'll see you next week, Wednesday. Good night now.